What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. I'm once again joined by Christy, and we're here to review Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 4. So we're going to be going over the spoilers, talking about all the big things that happened on tonight's episode in a review fashion. So I'm going to give it over to Christy for her thoughts first.
That was a wild episode. I think it was my favorite so far, honestly. It was way better than, I know a lot of people disagree and think that the last episode was amazing, but I disagree. I think this episode was hands down way better, but still not as amazing as I wished it had been. But either way, it was still a good episode, and let's just take a moment and bow our heads for Missandei, because that was just not expected. I mean, I know they said there was a lot of callbacks to season 1, but I thought someone else was going to get beheaded. I did not think it was going to be Missandei. I did not think it was going to be in front of everyone. I knew Missandei was going to die. I knew she was going to die the second she said she wanted to go back to the sandy beaches of Narth. I knew she was going to go out. I did not think it was going to be like that. And the second I saw it happen, I felt like Daenerys. I was like, I just want everyone to burn. And I love that her last word was Dracarys. I mean, she straight up told Dany, burn them all, basically. She was like, I don't care what happens. At this point, I'm going to die, so I just want to tell you to burn them all. And I'm right there with Daenerys. I want her to just get on Drogon and burn the whole stupid city to the ground and sack King's Landing and screw all the people. But that's what Cersei wanted. She wants Daenerys to look like a mad queen, and honestly, I feel like that's what's going to happen. She's going to slip into madness more and more. She's lost literally everyone. It was kind of shown a lot this episode even. You know, the second she said goodbye to Jorah, and that was a really sweet and touching moment. Seeing Sansa cry over Theon, I feel like, was extremely heartbreaking and just a really great moment even for him, and then for Sam over Ed. And I don't know, I feel like Jon should have been also burning Ed with Sam, but instead they kind of put her over Lyanna. But I guess there's no Mormonts left to burn Lyanna, so it kind of had to happen. And I guess at least she shares the same name as his mom. But that whole tribute to saying goodbye to all those bodies, and man, were there a lot of bodies for them to burn. It was a really big moment too, and I really liked that. You know, it was really touching, and then everyone kind of went into this celebration, but it was kind of a bitter celebration. I really love those moments, and I think one of the biggest moments that I was kind of like, come on, was Gendry proposing to Arya. Come on, Arya. I wanted her to take the proposal, but we all know Arya would never. She's not that girl. The same thing she said to Nymeria, you're not that girl. And I feel like it stunk that it happened, but it had to happen because it's true. Arya is not the type of person who would ever do that or would ever want that type of lifestyle. She would never sit still long enough to even stay in a castle, for that matter. And I like how she took off with the Hound unintentionally, but sort of intentionally. She took off with the Hounds heading straight for King's Landing. The Hound, I assume, is for killing his brother, and Arya, I assume, is for Cersei. Partially because the witch told her green eyes are another pair she has to close forever. I assume brown is Walder, blue is obviously the Ice King, and then green would be Cersei. Is she going to be the one to kill Cersei? I don't know. I guess we'll see. And then on top of that, Jaime is headed that way, which I think is kind of sucks, but I mean, I wanted him to have that happy ending with Brienne, but there's no happy endings in Game of Thrones. And I feel like it's just not his character. Of course he would never be able to just suddenly drop his sister off the face of the planet and stay with her, so of course that was going to happen. There was just a whole lot of moments, and man, the one moment that I did not like was how Jon said goodbye to Ghost. He didn't. He basically told Tormund to take Ghost with him, which I think is the right thing to do. Ghost does belong there, and sorry Ghost, you lost an ear just like that dude from Harry Potter. But Jon didn't even say goodbye to him. I mean, Ghost was like, whining a little bit, kind of crying, wanting to stay with Jon, and Jon just straight up ignored him. And I feel like, come on, at least give the dog a hug and say goodbye, something. But no, he just was kind of like, go, Ghost. Which is fair. Ghost does belong in the north, so it's where he should be, but he could have at least said bye. There's a lot of moments too with Tyrion and Varys talking about Jon should be the right king and everything like that, and I agree with them. Jon is the rightful person to rule, but at the same time, the way they're going about it behind Daenerys' back, they're setting her up to become the Mad Queen, and I don't think they realize it, but they're turning her into one themselves. I mean, look at that whole celebration moment. Everyone was celebrating. She kind of celebrated for a minute, and then she had no one. She looked around and realized she had no one. Jorah's gone. all her friends are gone. Missandei had Grey Worm, until the whole thing. And she was sitting there by herself, and the Starks kind of made it known to her that you're not one of us. And so did everyone else at that party, just kind of looked at her like, you're not one of us, so sit by yourself. And she kind of got the hint, like, hey, I'm by myself now. And it's really sad, honestly, because Jon knows he's a Targaryen, and he still also left her to be by herself while he went off with his family and kind of chose them and everything. So they're setting her up. Who's going to be the saving grace for her when the time comes when she wants to burn them all? She just lost her best friend, now getting beheaded in front of her. Of course she's going to be mad. Of course she's going to want to sack King's Landing. And who's going to talk her down? Nobody, because who's close to her anymore? No one, because she can't trust anyone and everyone's tried to turn against her. So of course she's going to lose her mind. And I feel like that's where the next episode is headed. And I don't know how it's going to go, but I know that things are not looking great for Daenerys in the sense that I want her to burn it, but in the sense that she seems to be slipping. So it was a very exciting episode. The next episode I'm excited to see. We'll see how it goes from there.
I agree. I think overall this was the most complete and most Game of Thrones-y episode of this season. I think it was the most well put together. I think it had the most moments that kind of stand out. And we talked about the Battle of Winterfell last week and how basically Christy and I did not like that episode. We didn't like how they went about that fight in a lot of different ways. We have videos up on that if you want to check that out. But we talked about a lot of the weaknesses in that episode. And I think that while there was no major flashy battles, I mean, there were a couple. There was a really cool scene when the ship was getting destroyed. Nice cinematography going on there, but overall this was a more moment kind of episode with just characters. And so there were a lot of really small moments I think did make this episode, in my opinion, the best episode of the season so far. But I do agree with Christy. I mean, I think the biggest weakness of this episode, and although this is the best episode of the season, I don't think that stops me from criticizing it, because I do think there's still a lot of weaknesses. One of the biggest weaknesses I think is the predictability that this season of Game of Thrones is going. It seems hugely predictable, and like Christy was saying, with Daenerys having everybody turn against her, it's honestly like blatantly clear, and people kind of jumping ship from her. And it's like, you as an audience member see this, and I don't see how you don't kind of be like, you know what, I agree with Daenerys. I don't think there's anything wrong with what's going on, especially as she continues to lose people and people are plotting behind her back. They don't see the full picture, I guess, because they're just characters in the show. But when you watch it from us, I don't see how you can actually watch this episode and not feel like angry at Varys, at Tyrion, although Tyrion did try and defend her multiple times. And I don't know how you don't support Daenerys in what she's trying to do, and really just all the stuff that has gone and turned against her. But again, I just feel like the way they are setting her up, I mean, they really are setting her up where she's going to lose her mind and just want to destroy everything. And honestly, is that even that bad of a thing, considering what Cersei has done to her and all the stuff that's happened? You kind of can kind of relate in a way where you don't really think it's all that bad of a thing. But obviously there's going to be select characters in the show that are, and it's going to, become the downfall of Daenerys. So, there were things like that. There's a thing with Euron, obviously killing one of the dragons. I don't know how he managed to reload that bowcaster, or however you want to say. I mean, it was an enlarged bowcaster, R.I.P. Chewbacca, and I don't know how he managed to do that 3 times within like 10 seconds. They must have massively refined that design in between episodes at some point. But I thought that was, that obviously was off guard. That caught us off guard. But I really don't know how that was humanly possible. But it's kind of scenes like that. It's scenes like that. It's scenes behind the scenes in the show where things are just like a little off. Like something just feels very off about Game of Thrones this season. And this is still an amazing show. And they're doing so many things right. And I do think there was a lot of really nice relationship moments between characters. I liked the party. I like them celebrating. I like the moments of Brienne and Jaime. I like Tyrion and Varys. I like all the moments they had. Even Daenerys and Jon really kind of you kind of felt uncomfortable. Like there's only one way they're going to be able to live together. And Daenerys said, well, I told you how that's going to be. So there were a lot of those kind of moments that did feel really good, and I think did make this episode the best. But I think overall, again, there's just a lot of weaknesses. And mainly that this episode and really season, you can kind of see where it's going. I mean, I think we all kind of know Cersei is going to lose, and whether Daenerys makes it to that point or not, I feel like that's hugely possible. And it does seem like she's going to get betrayed / killed. I mean, it does kind of seem pretty predictable in that way. But overall, I would say this is a very good episode. I would say it's the best episode of the season so far. And if you guys want to go back and watch any of the past seasons, any of the past episodes of Game of Thrones, we have a link in the description below. It's a Fandango Now affiliate affiliate link. If you click that, if you buy or rent something through that, it helps us out on the channel. But you can go back and you can watch any of the old Game of Thrones episodes. They're all there for you. You can rent, buy them. You can link your Fandango points if you get the VIP points when you go see a movie. If you guys saw Avengers Endgame, you can earn points there, and you can use them. You can redeem them on Fandango now when you rent or buy movies or TV shows. So it's a nice little thing you can do with linking them. If you guys are interested in that, definitely check out, like I said, that code in the description box below. So let us know in the comments below, guys, what do you think about this episode? What do you think about episode 4 of Game of Thrones season 8? Do you like where this season's going? Where do you think the next 2 episodes are going to go? What do you think is going to happen with Daenerys, Cersei, all these characters? Let us know, and make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. We'll have videos throughout this week talking about episode 5, and then we'll have a review of episode 5 when it releases next Sunday. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you then.